everyone. So I wanted to chit chat about a couple of different books. I have, let's see, I went to the library, right? And they have some magazines to promote some new books that are coming out. And I figured it might be a good place to go through and see what is out there. Because so we had a hurricane come through. We live in Florida, right? And a hurricane came through and they just reopened one of the libraries. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago the hurricane took it down. So they have a section that I thought was really interesting that I wanted to share. It was novels set in the library. Some of them caught my eye. So The Woman in the Library by Sulary Gentile. A woman's scream pierces the quiet of the Boston Public Library's elegant reading room, which I feel like this is the third book I read a synopsis for in the last week or two where it's in the Boston Public Library. So I don't know what that's about. But the patrons are asked to remain in place as security guards investigate. While waiting, 4 strangers sit together at a table, striking up conversation, quickly forming a bond. Each is at the library for their own reasons, but only one is a murderer. So that's the book that I think would be interesting, The Woman in the Library. And it reminds me of a murder mystery. We have a murder mystery train that goes, and then during the winter season, Christmas kind of thing, it becomes the Polar Express train. And so it reminds me of that, and I really want to go on this murder mystery train ride. And this just is giving me the same vibes as that. The other one that caught my eye was Summer Hours at the Robbers Library by Sue Halpern. When 15-year-old Sunny gets arrested for shoplifting a dictionary, which reminds me of the fact that, did you know the book that is the most stolen or shoplifted or whatever, it's the Bible. The Bible, where it's a sin to steal, is the most commonly stolen book from stores, not from churches, or because churches often hand them out. Every church I've ever gone to, they hand out a copy. Usually it's the NIV, which I'm not sure what NIV stands for. I feel like it's National Interpreted Version. I could be wrong. It's been a while. But I know NIV and then King James Version are the only two I've really seen in churches in my area. And they hand them out, especially the ones that have the NIV ones. They'll hand them out. I haven't seen them hand out the King James one too much, but I don't know if it's because of the fact that most of the churches I've gone to are non-denominational. I don't know if that impacts the version that they hand out. I suspect it does. But I digress. She gets arrested for shoplifting a dictionary. She is assigned to do community service at the library. I feel like they're going to have parts at the beginning where they are thinking this is karmatic, or whoever assigns it with purpose. I think this is a purposeful assignment that would make sense. Bright, curious, and eager to connect with someone, Sunny coaxes librarian Kit out of her self-imposed isolation. They're joined by Rusty, a fugitive from Wall Street. Wow, that took a turn. That took a turn I didn't expect, as they came to terms with how their lives have unraveled. Now, I'm not sure. I feel like this is going to be a coming of age book because it's a 15-year-old that this is like set around, right? And I'm assuming it's during the summer because it says summer hours. So it's a summer teen book. And then they have a fugitive from Wall Street and how they come to terms with their lives have unraveled. Now, the librarian I'm interested in, the Wall Street one, I did not see coming because I didn't read all the synopses for all of the books. That was interesting. So it looks like this. So that is Summer Hours at the Robbers Library by Sue Halpern. So maybe the Wall Street guy did some sort of like what's it called when they embezzlement. I bet you he embezzled something. And then we know she stole a dictionary. And then the librarian's in a self-imposed isolation. So I'm going to suspect she had her heart stolen. That is going to be my something about stealing someone's heart, like, or love, or something. I bet you. The other one that I was interested in was The Underground Library by Jennifer Ryan. And it looks like this one. So this one says, when the Blitz destroys Bethnal Green Library in London, librarian Juliet Lansdowne, along with 2 other women, relocate the stacks to the local underground station where the city's residents shelter nightly. She is determined to lend out stories that will keep spirits up, and soon tragedy after tragedy threatens to destroy what they've built. So I really thought this would be a good book, especially for like some sort of demonstration of resilience. It sounds like wartime, right? It was saying the Blitz. So I'm guessing World War II. I'm a little fuzzy on the World Wars. But I know World War II, I think, had more like technology in the sense of like what we view as like war technology. Like, so my great-grandfather drove tanks for the United States in World War II. So he did the tanks, and I don't know all that goes into it. Like I said, great-grandfather were a couple of generations removed. But I know he was in World War II because of the fact he drove and shot out of tanks. So I know World War I didn't have as many tanks. So that's how I know like World War II tanks, great-grandfather. So that's what I'm imagining when they say Blitz, thinking of like the blimp. I maybe I'll know more, because I also feel like I remember when I was littler, you know, a kid, elementary school, Peter Pan 2 came out, and it was Wendy's daughter that went back to Neverland, and London was being bombed, and they had bomb shelters and underground stuff. So I feel like World War II London is what this is set for. That's how I'm making that, my hair. But that's how I'm making that connection to that. So I'm guessing World War II for this one. So those are the 3 ones set in the library that I'm interested in. And it didn't really say if they were new or not. It was just kind of like recommendations for the setting, which I thought was interesting. But that's what I found in this one. I have a couple other magazines that are going to have some recommendations that I'll talk about in other videos. But if you are looking for one specifically set in a library, those are 3 that caught my eye this week. I hope you guys have a great night, great morning, great afternoon. Right now when I'm doing this, it's about mid-morning. We're almost to noon-ish. So I'm going to go get lunch and I'll talk to you guys later.